From the Bone Zone to the Stone Throne, folks, a lot happened on the latest Goblin Mode. This is Sagas of Sundry Quests and Answers. I'm Dan Casey, and I'm joined once again by my amazing cast.
Danielle Radford.
Amy Vorpahl.
Jason Nguyen.
And our special guest.
Becca Scott.
Yes! Folks,
All
we're going
right.
to talk about the latest episode of Goblin Mode in just a moment, but there are spoilers ahead, so if you haven't seen or listened to it yet, go back, rethink the choices that led you here, then come back to us. We will wait. Okay, that's enough. Let's get into the episode. Becca, we're so stoked to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Becca.
Also, wow, that intro. Oh my God.
I
Oh,
know.
I just locked in.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Having a flashback to a previous life.
It's just who he is.
Can't help it.
Yeah.
So what was it like for you just stepping into this world when we're coming off the heels of meeting our Lord and Savior Unzug in a role that has a name with a lot to unpack, which we'll get into in future episodes?
Yeah, well, I'd say not at all intimidating. The amount of lore Amy sent me ahead of time was absolutely a normal amount of lore.
Sorry. I'm so glad I know Becca because this could look pretty manic and
I loved it. I read it all. I gobbled it up. Just like skeletons cannot do. And
Just falls right through us.
it's always scary to jump in when you guys have been doing so many episodes, but then getting to see the top of the episode and really just fall in love with your characters and get really into the world and become a fan for this thing that nobody else can see yet that isn't working on it. I was so excited to sit down and jump right in, and was so excited that you had given me so much to work with. And until the moment I found out we were Scottish.
Yeah, you came in hot with that.
That was a surprise to us all. That was fantastic. Amy.
Yeah, I wish I had told you before, but
No, I don't.
I think the sleeper agent of this is actually Danielle, who was like, "Whoa, you're Scottish too? Yeah, let's go."
Bizzee got to do a little bit of code switching. She went back home. She's back in her hometown.
That's right.
She turns it off and on. I was telling Amy during the break, it's like Danielle, me, when I'm part of Pop Nation, so I will never change that about myself, no matter what state I live in. But when I do go home, I do, you go home and you start getting your old accent back. And so,
Yes.
and then after a while I was like, I have to, because Bizzee isn't Berigny, but it's still really fun to do. It'll probably come back next episode a little bit.
I really hope it does. I want to see Bizzee back in her baggus when she's visiting home.
Bizzee back in my bag. But yeah, so that's one of, and also, yeah, it's been really fun because I actually have been able to do a bunch of accents in this, and I never do accents.
Yeah.
So
You did that
fun as well.
Claire accent that one time. Oh my goodness.
And yet you're very good at this.
Thank
Yes.
you. You nailed it. You came out of the gate.
The
No,
confidence.
that is
Still wrong.
definitely way closer to almost an Irish accent than closer to any sort of Scottish, but I'm okay with this.
I
and
like
you
to
should be
think
too.
I like to think that Fitfettle Delve contains a wide variety of rich neighborhoods that have developed different accents and linguistic stylings just over the years.
That's
They've
the
been
beauty
down
of-
there for centuries.
Right.
Yeah,
Language
that's-
changes.
That's the beauty of fantasy. It's not tied to
Exactly.
a real world place, so my accent is the correct one.
There it
Right.
is.
There's no actually
Yeah, what's
to be
Scotland?
doing
I
here.
only know Fitfettle Delve.
I only know Delve.
What is
I'm
that?
doing perfect. Upper crust, Fitfettle Delvian.
Yeah.
And you're doing lower crust Fitfettle Delvian.
That's right, I worked my way up.
That's exactly.
Well, yeah, you got to work up to the crust because otherwise you're closer to the center of the earth.
That's right. That's
High
right.
feeling.
I do want to talk about the sort of the world of Fitfettle Delve, and you coined a term right before we started rolling that I loved. If you could repeat it, started with G. Geode.
Wait, you said,
Talking about
Right.
you said we talk about geopolitical and, the geopolitical climate
Yes,
here.
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's. I love that we just sort of walked into this world and you were instantly fomenting revolution. Yes, I loved it. I'm so curious to learn more. And yeah, I'm just curious for you. What's it like? What was your reaction when you're like, okay, I'm trying to overthrow the ruling class?
look, that wasn't something Amy gave me necessarily.
That's even better. That's even better. That rules.
Spoilers. I did say, look, I've got this world, like, do what you want with it.
Yeah.
And, like, here we go.
You said anything I didn't write in this email is not yet decided, and you can make choices. And I made choices.
Good. I love to hear that.
So what we know is that I'm going against, like I think thoughts that are not mainstream
Yes.
for this Fitfettle Delve, and to me that means we got to do something about that.
I love that you're like a chill boss and a revolutionary. You know? It feels like an awesome combo.
She
Yeah.
She hides in plain
both. I
sight.
can't tell now. I can't tell. I can tell who's who.
We're one and the same.
I do like a character that hides in plain sight where by all rights, and she's high acclaimed too. I mean, she
Yes.
carries
Yeah.
the Berignius Burfist name, which I didn't make that decision until I knew that Becca was playing this character.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that Berignius has a lineage, obviously.
We were just going to have to deal with Gottfrieda Opal born.
Yep, that's
Thank you
right.
for writing that down.
Yeah.
If I make you say a name, I will write it down. That
I
is my
know.
promise to you.
Thank you. Yeah, she has a last name as well. Yeah, Gottfrieda is Berignius' best friend and brings her down to earth, and it's just like,
I got questions, but we'll see if they have answers as we continue.
Yeah, what was your reaction when you heard the name of our esteemed guest character?
Yeah, that was a big moment.
Big moment. I obviously will hear some more things. It's interesting because we did, Flesh Fibs did accidentally burn down our memory palace, and so
Mistakes were made.
Mistakes were made, and but there is still, I think, even without it being a thing of coming in and there's these memories of any descendants or anything like that, there is still this connection to dwarven culture.
Absolutely.
Specifically, Bizzee's really obviously, like, she comes home and there are still these cultural things of like this. It might not be that I remember and you're of my lineage, and it might not be at that point yet, but it's definitely like, you are the most capable person I have met so far since we have left the dungeon. And Bizzee is just like, and it's like, that's where it's Bizzee's like, I see so much of what I love.
It is
about me in
bizarre,
you.
like, because I put, it's just, I say these words and I'm describing statues of literally you and friezes and just this almost worshipping of Berignius Burfist. And what you, Danielle, the player, and what Berignius or what Bizzee is obsessed with is literally a table of contents on a scroll.
Yeah.
So
because that's the legacy. Like, statues are fantastic. Like, great, thanks. I'm glad that y'all spent all that time and all that stone. But the legacy of Berignius is an index on a scroll. That is her legacy. It's not statues. It's not any of that other stuff. It's great that you have my name, but it's most important that it was shown that efficiency was carrying down
ergonomics, people.
and respected.
23 taxonomies in me.
Yes.
Ergonomics.
Ergonomics.
There we go.
There it is.
Ergonomics.
Yeah, so that's again, like, the statues are like fantastic, but really it was that they respected, and carried forth how important it is to have an index scroll in easy code.
Story question. Does Bizzee know that's her?
Bizzee wouldn't at this point. Bizzee does know that that's her, but Bizzee met herself and it did not go well. It turns out that Bizzee does not F with past Bizzee. We had a little bit of a kerfuffle. It was fine, like, no big deal. She just wanted to, like, kill me as I am now and all the experiences that I went through after I came back from the dead, and replace me in the real world, and then I would have then been nothing and meant nothing to anybody. Bizzee took a lot of offense to that, but so that's the other thing too, was like, I see those statues and it's like, oh, this bitch. I was punching you in the face last time I saw you.
But that's not what the dwarves of Fitfettle Delve remember of Bizzee.
Right.
They remember her as the, number one fate keeper that,
Yeah.
fulfilled a destiny.
Yeah.
Well, I think we see that interplay between reputation and reality really play out in this episode, not just with Bizzee, but also with our first face-to-face meeting with Unzug.
Oh, that was this episode too.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
It is most of this episode.
Also, Tippy kissed Picard.
Oh,
a lot happened this
Oh, yeah,
episode.
guys.
It finally
guys.
happened.
Yeah,
finally
big
happened.
moments. Oh my gosh.
Well, beaked her, really.
Yeah, I beaked her. So did it count? Did it count?
Here it is.
My first pack. Okay.
But you did get the confidence up enough.
I felt like there is now no excuse, right? Like his biggest excuse was he didn't feel like he deserved to have a kiss with her, and now he's the Goblin champion, and his boss is back, and like he's kind of like the top of the mountain for Tippy right now.
It's all downhill from here.
It's all downhill from here, and so it's like if I don't kiss her now, I don't know when I'll get a chance to do that.
Yeah. It also did culminate not from a heartfelt speech, but from a bit of a fight. Like they were just arguing with each other, and I think that's actually very goblin-y.
Very goblin-y indeed,
Yeah,
for
right.
sure.
Well, what are you waiting for?
A failed sidebar to
sidebar, yeah.
We have a lot of sidebars. If you can
sidebar
tell.
about that?
Yeah.
I think that's a really good idea.
No, thank you so
Great.
much. Yeah. All right, we're done with the sidebar.
What was it like for y'all to get to witness and talk to Unzug? Did he live up to expectations, or what's the vibe?
Talk about cool boss. We get there, and of course, Unzug, the terrible Unzug, the master of the undead. And we get there, and he's like, all right, everybody, pop a squat. We just want to go ahead and just everybody, we're going to catch up. We're going to see what's going on. How are you? How's your day been? I do want to hear that story later. But first, we do have to get down to business. And so that, I think, I was very surprised because I was definitely expecting Dark Lord of Terror. And he can still be a Dark Lord of Terror, but so much of it was also very like chill. Like we're working on something and we're a team. And he very great team building skills.
This one's hard for me because this one is really like I have to separate myself as a player and not metagame and
Danielle's
really just
suspicious. Bizzee is
I'm so
delighted.
suspicious because I don't trust no boss, but Tippy does. Tippy really does. But it is strange how like he's the great Dark Lord and we were so scared of him, and now he's like, yeah, Papa Squat.
Oh, yeah, I'll fire Crandall for repeated HR violations. Absolutely.
I was like, what? I don't like this. So I have a hard time trusting him.
Hedging your bets.
Yeah, I mean, I'm suspicious because he gave me some very powerful magic items.
Damn, y'all got out. That is wild.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to review what the Staff of Rolbear does in addition to my my lovely head of hair that's attached to my hat. That's also apparently
just a head of hair. No other word to describe it.
Yes, definitely the only word I would use is my sweet fit.
Between y'all, you have 3 of the 5 articles of the Champions of Sundry.
So we're missing the circlet, and the final one was a ring, correct?
Yeah, Ring of Sigbrida.
Hey,
Ring.
I remember.
So
a couple
ring,
things.
circlet, staff, goblet, and tattoo.
Hat.
Okay.
Yeah.
And hair.
Okay. Hair.
Sweet tat, bro.
Yeah.
Hair. The weave.
Those were the first things I wrote in this when I was doing this game.
you were making this,
it was a lot because you have to. Guess what? Come up with names.
First and last names now.
No. Well, they do have last names.
I
yeah.
was a big fan of the names this episode, especially Boone Ruby Throat.
Ruby Throat. Yes, Ruby Throat.
Ruby Throat is definitely.
Boomph.
It's a local pronunciation.
Yeah.
There's a lot of dust that can form, which is why they want it swept up because it aggravates the ruby throat.
Yeah.
It's ruby in color because it's aggravated.
Okay, yeah. I mean,
That's
you
why
got
he
it
works outside
exactly.
now.
I mean, maybe
That's what you wrote down. That was in the lore in your email.
Look, that is
That was
the hyoid. That is the hyoid they're looking for. It's a ruby-throated dwarf, actually, not a goblin. So.
In your lore, like Becca, I'm curious. Do you get notes about us? Do you know much about like what these guys are about, or do you really just
3
come in and watch?
local idiots approach you.
As it pertains to the story, I know a bit about your death and unmaking and remaking as skeletons, and just the summary of
You'll be
this date, which was a lot.
It's like we get to this level of episode and it's like, 2 hours of an email later.
That's why Unzug was like, I have to hear this story another time.
I know.
Yeah, that's good. So it's like, oh, Becca, you will be hanging out with 3 dipshits. And then also you'll be hanging out with Bizzee and Vince.
Well, that's like, I told Becca, I was like, I'm so glad I know you because I don't know, I know that I'm like, oh, it's better for me to just send you everything instead of going, these are the things that are important because at this stage, I'm like, it's all important.
I love that.
How do I leave anything out at this point?
Yeah, all I had to do was read it. And then I feel like I know what's going on because being thrown into the deep end of someone else's game when you don't have that much information because people are trying to be nice to you, it's like, no. I am already playing catch up.
Yeah.
Give me everything.
Well, you're a dungeon master too, so I knew I could just drop it on you.
Well, we're about to go from deep lore to deep gore because next episode we're gonna have to face untold horrors just sitting there in a pile in a mound. I don't know what they are, but we're gonna find out together in a brand new Sagas of Sundry Goblin Mode. You can watch the latest episode on Geek and Sundry or wherever fine podcasts are served. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.